Hey everyone, this is Jono from Veracity with another video in my video series. This one continuing a sub-series on assessments in xAPI, and this one specifically on response patterns. So we'll start with a couple slides of an overview of how we got here, what we've covered. If this is new to you, please check out the last 3 videos. I think it was 3. I'll put links in the description. It'll fill in important context for this video. So here's where we're at. We've done an overview of what a CMI interaction is. It's essentially a way in xAPI to track data about your learners answering questions on a quiz or assessment knowledge check. There are different CMI interaction types and associated learner responses. So for example, a true-false question, the way you track the learner's response looks differently than when you track a multiple-choice question response. In addition to that, there's additional metadata about each interaction type, about each question type that you can include, and today we're going to cover one of those. So let's get a little bit into the code here again just for a second. So this is an object. This is the thing in an xAPI statement that is being interacted with. Here you can see that its definition type is this IRI. That means it's a CMI interaction. Since we know that, we actually get this additional thing, interaction type. And in this case, we are saying it's a choice or multiple choice question. So this gives us the ability, again, just in a review here, when we're talking about a particular activity, it gives us, number one, we have the ability to say it is a CMI interaction. So it's like a question response. And then we can say additional details about what kind of question it is. So the different kinds of questions are true, false, choice, fill in, long fill in, Likert matching, performance, sequencing, numeric, and other. With each one of these, we've covered in the last 2 videos that the way you represent a learner's response in the data, how you show they answered true on a true-false question or they answered choice B on a multiple-choice question, that varies per interaction type. Also, the pattern of responses also changes based on interaction type. In fact, sometimes it doesn't even exist. Now, what do I mean by pattern of responses? One way to say this is it's the definition.interaction components, but that's not very helpful. So let me describe what the intent is. Let's go with a multiple choice question, and then we'll talk about a little bit more about the specifics. So in the last 2 videos, we learned how to say in xAPI that Jono answered choice B on the assessment, for example. But let's say choice B was one of 4 choices in a multiple choice question. And when you are developing your analytics, you want to show here are all the different choices, even though Jono only answered choice B. Well, xAPI by default, it doesn't know what you've shown on the screen to your users. It doesn't know that there were 4 or 5 choices, or if there was a, choice D, all of the above. It just doesn't know that without you tracking that data. So when we are talking about adding interaction components to the definition, that gives us the ability to further define what options there were for the learner when they answered the question. For example, again, the multiple choice options. In some cases, there isn't a list of things. For example, true, false. We already know that the options are true or false. So there is no interaction component for true, false. Unlike the last time, I'm actually going to open the spec and go through this one a little bit quicker than I did through the individual learner responses. But anyway, here's an example. This is a fill-in question. Actually, this one doesn't have a interaction pattern. So let me just go to the spec. Have it open here. Yeah. All right, great. So here are the different types. You'll notice true, false, fill in, long fill in, numeric, and other do not have interaction components. In other words, there's not like a series of things for the learner to answer from or pick from, or in some cases we know it was true, false, or numeric. It's a number or a range of numbers, so we don't have to specify the choices. But in these cases, choice, sequencing, Likert, matching, and performance, there are particular interaction components that you can include. So let's talk about choice and sequencing. By the way, this is in the xAPI spec. There'll be a link in the description of this video for this. It's a great resource. Please check it out. So these are the options. There's an appendix that shows you what this actually looks like in the spec. So let's take a look at choice. So here we've got our definition, and then we have our interaction. This is the different choices. So there's choice 1, golf, Facebook, Tetris, Scrabble. Notice that, let me highlight. These are the IDs. So when your student answers Tetris, you should use this text as their answer, not the US English description. This is just more for rendering on the screen and whatnot. But the thing they actually chose was this ID. So anyway, you can see there were 4 choices: golf, Facebook, Tetris, and Scrabble. The actual words potentially on the screen were golf example, Facebook app, Tetris example, and Scrabble example. However, when they answer, they'll get one of these values. You'll have to save one of those values. Okay, and sequencing works the same way. It looks exactly the same. Let's go back to our table. All right. Next one is the Likert. It is a scale, so let's check out what that looks like. Scroll down to the Likert, and you notice now instead of choices, we have scale, and it's a very similar data structure. They all have like IDs and a description. So in this case, there's Likert, just IDs, 0, 1, 2, and 3. It's just 4 items in it, and then you can see what our English description of the scale. Again, when the user chooses one of these and you put in the response, their response will just be, one of these IDs, not this English string. Again, the IDs, in all cases in xAPI, the IDs or IRIs are the actual thing you should be using, and the descriptions are really just metadata about it. So anyway, that's what Likert looks like, very similar to choices, except it has the word scale here instead of choices. All right, let's go back to our table. Matching, source, and target. These are a little bit different. So let's check out what this looks like in the example. Matching. Okay, here we go. Matching. So notice now we have 2 different arrays. We have a source array and we have a target array. The source array just has a list of things just like before, where it has an ID and a description. And our target has, again, just another array, again, IDs and a description. So, our elements, our interaction components are always just an ID and description. But in this case, you notice we have a source list and a target list. So you can, figure out from here, because this is a matching question, these are the source things that we will match with the target things. These were all of the options. These are all the things that maybe we had to drag and drop with one of the targets over here. So you can see it's a little bit different than a multiple choice. There's basically 2 lists of things in a matching question. Okay. Next one, performance. Our last one is a series of steps. So let's check out that. All right, scrolling down to performance, we have steps, and again, our interaction components. This is our first step, second step, third step. Again, they just have an ID and a description. Now, how these relate to the learner's response do differ slightly in each interaction type. So check out those last 2 videos because it will show you more information. But again, same as the others, the important thing is the ID here, not the English language string. Notice this correct responses pattern. We'll get to this in the next video. We're going to talk about this quite a bit in the next video, so we'll describe how that's used. I will note this is optional. You don't have to do this. You don't have to include this metadata about your CMI interactions in a statement. However, when you are in an analytics platform and you're clicking together a graph and you want to kind of show what were all the things that were matched to all the other things and what did our learner pick, it's really great to have this in the definition. It's much easier to make sense of what actually happened when you have this additional metadata. So we do recommend using it. Okay, that is going to be it for our video today. We're going to move on to those correct responses patterns next week. That'll probably take the whole video, and then we'll show some examples of this because we're really going through bits and pieces. And I know tying it all together is its whole other thing. So in probably will be the final video in this little sub-series. We'll be showing real examples so that when you're doing this in the real world, you can take all the little pieces that you've learned in all of these videos and apply it in one place again in that last video. All right, that's going to do it for today. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up button and or subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a good one.